Welcome back to 99 Blades. Today we're going to be doing our State of the Collection 2025. I know I did one earlier in the year, but I have changed a couple things around. It's going to be into three main components. It's going to be the knives I've sold, the knives that I've added, and then the knives that stayed the same. The ones that stayed the same is going to be more of that like shotgun rapid set format where I just kind of go one after the other. The knives I sold, I might spend a little bit longer as to why I sold them, and then the knives I added a little bit longer as to why I kept them. So the knives I sold, since I don't have them in front of me, I'll be doing sort of like an edited roll style of some pictures or anything like that. So please enjoy the video. You might need a snack, you might need a drink. This one is going to be a long one. Starting off for the sold, we have the Sharp by Design Derecho. Like I mentioned in my review, this is a great knife, just one I don't carry, so I had to move it on. And a subscriber actually reached out. He saw the collection video and the reviews and saw that I was considering moving it, and ended up selling it to him. After that, I sold my Emerson Commander. Again, another nice knife, just not my style. Definitely more of a tactical type folder, and it's not really what I go for. Outside of that, it's a good knife with some strange quirks. I sold my Civivi Vision FG. I think it's just a little too heavy given the, I guess, size of the blade. I just feel like it should be lighter. The ergonomics are a little funky. I definitely want to get something with the SNEX Super Lock in it, so maybe I'll get the Wii version of it. Maybe I'll have to check out the Buster Vision and see if there's like maybe a different handle that'll fit sort of my ergonomic tastes better. Next up on the sold list for the last year is the Tactile Maverick. So just similar story to the other one so far. Good knife, but I'm moving out of axis locks as in general. I'm keeping a couple Benchmades, but I'm not really getting new ones with Omega Springs. It's just something about the way the D10 feels. I just think a liner lock or a frame lock feels a little bit more better, a little more not secure, but just like a very definitive break when you're deploying it, and it doesn't have a dead zone. The person I sold the Maverick to loves it, so there's a knife for everybody. And in a similar vein, I also sold my Civivi Yonder, being axis lock and a pinch too thin. I did see they made a bigger Yonder, so I'd be interested in trying that one out, but I'm still hoping they make maybe a Wii Knife frame lock Yonder. That would be pretty cool. Next up, I sold my Vosti Thunderbird. Again, cool knife, didn't carry it. I thought I would like the Magpie G10, being a little bit more colorful, something different, but it's just not really for me. The Trex lock, it's nice, but given all of the methods of deployment, sometimes I wonder if it was just better if they committed to a flipper and reverse flick, like a slot, and could tune the detent to be better, because it's good for the flipper. Maybe it's a little too stiff for some of the other means of deployment. It's a good knife, but sometimes when you toss in too many deployments, it's hard to tune them all to be good. And I think that can be exaggerated by a button lock. Speaking of button locks, the Squid Industry Surf is also out of the collection. And this one's a little bit interesting though, because I'm probably going to add it back in. So I got the first production run that had no texture on it. And while it is nice, I'm really hoping that they're going to make one in titanium and put the texture that they have on their Crackerackins on that. So hopefully in the next year or two, I'd be adding the Squid Surf back into the collection. But I did get rid of this one. I thought I was going to keep it for a long time, but someone reached out. They were really looking for a first production, and I ended up moving it along. Next up is the Spartan Blades Harsey Folder. And this one's just a beast of a knife. It's heavy, it's thick, and I ended up selling it. Now, I will be getting another Spartan Blades back in, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go for that plain Jane 3¼ inch blade and actually try to carry it, or if I'll try to hunt for an old knife that I had really wanted, which is, I'll probably see if I can find an image of it, but it's this Guardian Defense, sort of like a angel on the scale. I think that one's pretty cool. So maybe I'll go looking for one of those. Next, I sold my Vox Dapper, and this one, it's one of those that I really want to love, but it's tough. So the first one I bought, the screws came stripped, which is not great. The second one I bought had really gritty action. So I cleaned it, and by the time I got the gritty action out, it had lock rock. And for almost a year, I took it apart maybe 5 or 6 times and just wrenched the lock bar as hard as I could, trying to get rid of the lock rock, but I never could. It's a steel liner versus a titanium liner, so it makes it pretty tough to move it. But I ended up selling it for a loss, and it is what it is. I would love if they brought the Dapper shape, just for Voxness, if he brought the Dapper shape but put like a hollow grind on it, because the grind was too thick for size. The ergonomics are great, but I would love to see a hollow ground Dapper, maybe a different OEM. Although I have heard Fox has gotten better. I'm pretty sure this was a Fox knife collab with Vox, sold on Blade HQ exclusively. Next up, we got the Civivi Elementum, and I did use this knife as a size comparison knife for a while, but I decided I think that the NAF Lander 1 is a better partner to the Baby Bander. So I sold the Elementum and I kept the Lander. Civivi does a pretty good job with their knives. The Elementum has been around for so long and it's probably sold so many units. And it's just one of those very generic knifey designs, but that's what makes it good. The only thing is, some of the earlier Civivi liner locks, the access wasn't the best, so it's just kind of uncomfortable. I'm not gonna say it's painful, but it's just like, man, I wish I had better access to the liner lock. So yeah, sold the Elementum. I still think it's a great knife. Still recommend it to a lot of people. Next up, that faced the chopping block was a Pete's Pirate Life fixed blade, and that was the contoured titanium one. And this one fell prey to kind of the Yonder situation where it's just a pinch too small. My pinky never really found a place where I was like, oh, this is nice. When you pay money for something, you want it to fit your hand or your use case. So I had just kept it and bumped into someone on one of the discords that I'm a part of who was interested. He picked it up and fits his hand like a glove, and he uses it as a steak knife. So pretty awesome that it's getting use after sitting in my collection for so long. Next up is going to be a shocker, the Grimsmo Norseman. I would want to one day get another Norseman, and I think maybe a used one with the flatlands pattern might be on the list. I'm not entirely sure. Next up, Civivi Conspirator. This is my first button lock. Solid knife. Again, my tastes are moving in a different direction and had to free up some funds. Had a little lock stick on it still, but all in all, most of these Civivis and Vostids that I sold, they're good knives. It's just don't have enough time to carry them all, and it'd be nice to check out new stuff. Next up, a Demko 80-20.5. So again, ergonomic issues on the handle where it's just fine, but when I have other knives that are better than fine, it just makes it tough to want to keep something around. So the way that the back handle kind of dips down, it just doesn't feel comfortable. So maybe the Shark Cub, how it is kind of more a flat handle, maybe that would fit my hand better, or maybe you upsize into a Demko 80-20. So I definitely want a Demko in the collection, and I think I'm probably going to get another one in 2026, but it won't be a 20.5, even though it's a really cool platform. And lastly, from the knives I sold, the Tactile Archer. This is a really awesome knife. Tactile really pulled all the stops on this one, but I purchased one of the earlier runs and it has some issues. So the detent was really, really strong. And I still think when I'm trying to reverse flick, the detent might be a pinch too strong. Mine had, I should say, a bit of pivot lash. So when you push the lock bar and the blade falls, it makes an extra rattly type noise. And when you're paying that much money, you kind of want to feel everything tolerance wise is up to snuff. And I've heard that the newer archers, the detent was updated, tolerances got tighter, So I want to get another Archer, but I have to see it in person and I have to make sure. The D10's better, the reverse flick feels better, and there's no pivot lash, and everything feels, nice and locked in. That rounds out the knives that I sold. That's 15 knives gone from the collection since the first video I made in June. Other knives I sold just before I made the video, which I just figured I'll toss them in here. American Blade Works Model 2. That one I got used. Could never get it centered. Griffin Company Scout F2.5, which is a fixed blade. Ended up selling that as I was getting out of pocket flick spades. I traded for a Yeager, Brian Brown Yeager V2, and I ended up selling that. I sold the QSP Mini Penguin, a Griffin Company, the F3, the folder. It was a little too thick. I sold my ZT0393 with the glow carbon fiber. I sold a Hoback Quaken button lock. And I sold a carved knife blackout carbon fiber. So those are an additional like 9 or 8. I think 8. That's an additional 8 knives I sold at the start of 2025 before the video. So all in all, my collection has shrunk this year, and I think that's good. And hopefully in 2025, we're going to go down a bit more. All right, next up, we got the knives I added, which is going to be 4 of them, and 2 kind of cheating. So let's start with the kind of cheating. My Pair 3 and my PM2. Both of these I've had in my collection being size comparison knives. However, new scales and clip and new scales on both of them. So kind of new, kind of not. Both of them are sporting Rips Garage Tech scales. So got the Arctic CF and a backspacer with a really nice lanyard tube. And this one has the flat stonewash clip and the fluted titanium. Really like how these feel. I had Met and Boss scales on these, but these are a whole ounce lighter. And it actually makes it carryable again. Originally, it was just so heavy. I didn't carry it much. And this one, I liked the Robin's Egg kind of teal G10, but it's just got dirty so fast. Like I just put it in my pocket and there's, dust and everything. But now it just hides wear a little bit better, and it still keeps some of that blue homage, or I'm not sure if that's the right word, but blue character to it. Really nice knife. Spydercos are Spydercos for a reason. I filmed a really long video taking these apart. There's a lot of challenges that will probably come out early in 2026. So you'll get to experience, especially this one. This one was a pain in the butt to take apart. So I'm going to put these at the top left. And now we're going to talk about knives that I actually bought. So the first one I bought since my original video in June was this Monterey Bay Knives Velar in K390, or Valar. I have not used it much, but I do really like it. Insanely good edge. I have carried it in this slip, just kind of throwing it into the pocket, not with the blade out, of course, but just throwing it into the pocket, and it is nice. The file work is really pretty. The opal's nice. The carbon fiber is nice. I do think if these screws are just kind of set into it, it'd be so cool to get wood inlays. I might do that next year. There's a guy on Discord who does kind of like chef knife handles. So I was thinking of maybe getting a nice wood inlay. That would look really cool. But it'd be cool to keep that opal. Not sure if that's doable. Ergonomics are fantastic. It's everything I wanted in a slip joint, and I'm probably going to pick up maybe 1 or 2 more slip joints. I don't want to get too into them, but it's kind of nice to just have one. Next up for knives I added, I think from a really small and light knife to a huge one, I got the Schwartz LT5. I've used it for cooking a couple times. Haven't been able to go camping yet, but ergonomically, this is amazing. So comfortable. It's a huge knife, but it's just really nice in the hand. And very happy with this purchase. Next, I sold the Pete's Pirate Knife fixed blade, so I ended up buying a folder. And I wanted to take a look at this Big Idea Overlook anyway, so I thought this is a cool 2-for-1. Really snappy detent, good action, ergonomics work. It's just enough for my hands to be comfortable, so pretty hyped with that. Maybe drop point isn't the best blade shape for a knife this small. I think it should be, a little bit lower, kind of TRM Atom-y, just because something like this, you just really want to slice tape with it. I don't think you'd be doing much more than that. But so far, really like it. I'm not really sure how you'd take it apart now that I'm looking at it. I'm assuming you got your pivot screw. This looks like it removes the cap for the clip. And then maybe there's a screw through there. It looks like there's at least one crossing screw. So maybe I'll have to do a disassembly video on this just because it may not be trivial. Really cool knife. And it came with a cool coin, which I'm going to grab. Here's the coin. Pretty cool. Not the biggest coin guy. I was super into them at the start of EDC, but I don't know. Just more money and more stuff in the pockets. And then lastly, probably the most expensive knife I picked up this year was a Machine Wise Mojave. This one, when I first unboxed it, I was having some issues reverse flicking it left hand, but no worries on that. So what was happening is when it shipped, the pivot was just a tiny bit loose, so it was wiggling just a little bit. Now it doesn't wiggle, but I think what's happening is this: when you come to reverse flick right-handed, you're putting pressure up, and out, and because the lock bar is putting pressure in, as you're pushing up, it can help make the detent feel softer. Now, if it's loose, you're pushing that really far away, so kind of explained, I think I said something like it feels a little mushy when you're reverse flicking, but that's why the flipper's unchanged, because you're putting more lateral pressure. But when you're left-handed and you're putting pressure up and it's loose, the detent's getting stiffer when the pivot's loose. So that's why I was struggling. But super easy, and really dig this knife. Visually, it looks kind of odd on photos, but in your hand, it just makes sense. It just feels really good. Really nice sheep's footy, worn cliffy type blade, and very happy with Machine Wise as a whole. And their customer service is amazing. They've treated me really well. I've had a couple small issues here and there. They've been more than accommodating, and they've helped rectify everything, and very happy. This one, by the way, no issues with it outside of just, I need to tighten the pivot just a little bit. So this is the knives that I added. So 2 sort of cheating knives. I had them, but I modified them with new scales. The true 4 is a Monterey Knives Velar, a Pete's Pirate Life / Big Idea Design, I think Overlook, Machine Wise Mojave, and 1 fixed blade, the LT5 by Schwartz Knives. So that is what I added to the collection this year. Pretty happy with it. A bit of diversity, small slip joint, a big bruiser of a folding knife. Of a fixed blade, and a big folding knife. So very happy with them. And now we're going to be doing all of the knives that have stayed. All right, rapid fire for the knives that have stayed in the collection. We're going to start with the, junk drawer type knives. Gerber Paraframe, probably the only usable one from this 3-pack. We got I forget if this is the mini something or the junior something. Terrible action. And probably ergonomically the best, the Air Ranger. I think this one I'm going to give to a friend, and these two either just buy them for shipping or giveaway items. Not really knives I enjoy. Picked up the Walmart Ozark Trail in D2. It's on bearings, got play up and down and left to right. It's still impressive that they can make this for as cheap as they do. The outer handle gets really dirty easily. The edge sucks. I think pretty much what happened with all of these is they have burnt edges. So I might sharpen this and see what's happening with the performance on this one. But maybe this will also be a giveaway type knife. This is the first knife I ever got when I was a kid. Came with a multi-tool and I use this a lot. But it is basically retired now. Next, we have the smallest knife in my collection, a gift from my wife, and the biggest folding knife in my collection, an absolutely ridiculous piece that I found in a pretty cheap type of thrift, not thrift, like a super cheap gift store at Lake Geneva, where I had my honeymoon. It is assisted. Love it. This is not going anywhere. Look at that. Terrible knife. All right. Getting out of the silly, junky type knives, we're going to do, I guess, all my legit knives now. So I have a Swiss Army knife. This one sort of sits at the top of the desk and wife grabs it for little packages here and there. I definitely want to get a maybe more beefed up Swiss Army knife with more tools. That would be pretty cool. This one, that's pretty much it. So not too much on the tool department, but it was very pretty scenery, and I thought I wanted to have at least one. Next, we have the TPT slide. This is the Gen 1, where the blades are pretty hard to take out. And I don't really believe in all of the tool set it comes with. Like, it's pretty crappy for hex. Light pry / scraper is nice. The box cutter is nice, and the bottle opener. That's really what this is. And I carry this whenever I don't want to have a knife, but I want to have a knife, if you know what I mean. Next, we have this Artisan Cutlery Arroyo, and not really my sort of style these days with the micarta, but I'm keeping this one around. My wife has, I got her a matching Arroyo. Well, an Arroyo, but not matching. It has really beautiful blue scales. So I just keep it for that. This one's broken in really nicely, actually. And one of the worst cuts I ever received from a knife on my finger. So I used to carry everything in the left pocket, but I didn't like the pocket clip on the front. So this actually opened in my pocket, and I gave myself a pretty good poke. That day, I moved everything to the right pocket. And I only carry in the right pocket ever since. This Vosteed survived the purge from earlier this year. This is the Nightshade. Ergonomically, fantastic. Cutting performance, fantastic. And the action, really nice on this one. And probably my favorite Vosteed. I haven't handled too many though, but this one's really nice. It was a pain to put back together when I cleaned it, so hopefully it won't be a pain to put it back together again. Next, we have a CRKT, and this one is the little scribe. I mentioned in the video in June that I wish this dimple system they put back here so that you could essentially just extendo. That would be so fun. But as a little, looks like a thumb drive knife, lives in my backpack. Kind of fun. This one also survived the purge, and I have a matching knife with my dad. I got him a backlash in satin, and I have this one with the black wash blade. This one will always stick around. I think it's awesome to remember my dad every time I see it. He beat the tar out of his. I had to clean it up. He uses a different knife now, which I will get to it. I also gifted him that one. But this one, really like, I think this era of Civivi, it's a thicker handle, but a really thin blade. Like, it's a thick handle with such a thin blade, and it just feels so nice. I would love to see this updated with a nicer steel and, I don't know, maybe a frame lock, make it in the Wii division. Really like the overall shape of this Civivi. Next, we have the knife that I bought for all of my groomsmen, the P801 SF. I think this is a really nice knife. Steel handles, stainless steel, so it is heavy, but it's just got that, Sebenza-esque look. Just a nice, timeless drop point, very neutral handle. I think it just gets the job done. And I bought one for myself to test to make sure I liked it before giving it to all of the guys, and does not disappoint. This one's pretty much kind of retired now. It lives in sort of a safe part of the case. Now we're going to go into size comparison knives, which you will know. We got the Lander 1, which replaced the Elementum. We got the Baby Banter with not Flytanium, unlocked composite scales and skiffs. We got the Rat 1.5 and the Model 1, of course, the classic. And then we have the Bug Out and the Osborne, but I will leave these for the USA section. Next, I have an Evo Typhoon, and I think this one will also be on the chopping block next year, and I'll get to that in a second, but I do love this blade shape, this compound harpoon Tonto. Really nice. Put that one right there. Next, we got the Riot Exo. This one will be staying. I don't have many gravity knives, and actually I don't have any gravity knives. And this one's just a lot of fun. I like the lock. I like the clip. And I actually do carry this sometimes because they are legal to carry in my state. Next up, we got a big, beefy SOCOM Bravo in full DLC. I've actually started carrying this knife recently, and I think I'm going to put skiffs on it. I'm not really looking forward to, let's see, is it 1, 2, 3 body screws, overlays? I'm assuming there's more to it than that, but I think it'll be a fun one to take apart and go through it. The only issue I have is the bearings. I don't know, I can right there, I feel them rolling, and you can hear them rolling, and in skiffs, I don't feel them or hear them, and sometimes I feel like it really elevates the feeling of a knife. So I think I'm going to do that to this bad boy next year. The clip has monstrous retention, but I've bent it out a little bit, and I'm able to put it over jeans without tearing them to shreds. Next, we got the Factor. Let's hear that one more time. This is a really weird one. Runs on magnets, has a magnetic lock. I'm not sure how good it does as a knife. Like, if you sharpen it, does the shavings get everywhere? How does that work? I don't know. I don't use this knife. I think I've carried it once, but for the most part, it's just a pinging fidget toy. I think I'm going to keep this one around just because of the innovation and how different it is. I think this is the batch 3, but I can't recall. Next, we have the Quiet Carry Drift in Vanax Super Clean lock bar insert. I actually took this apart. The lock bar insert is LC200N, and you got titanium hardware, and phosphor bronze washers. All in all, that's a really cool knife. One of those rust-proof knives. Love the ergonomics. Kind of a short blade to handle. I'm really interested in the large and the contoured ones, but I wonder if it'll kind of remove some of the magic of having such a thin, lightweight knife. But yeah, that's going to be one where maybe I'll have to get them in and see if I like them. But I do really like this knife, and I carry it a lot. Normally, if I travel, given its smaller nature, I'll put this in a checked bag. So I went to Puerto Rico last year with my family to visit family, and this is the one I brought along. It's just a nice, no matter where you're going, salty environment or whatever, it should last for your whole trip, given it's on washers. Really cool one, and definitely a keeper. Next, we have the Bull Knives Zyro. This is a more expensive Riot knife, but it is very well made. I think it's a little too pricey when it was brand new, but if you got it used on the second hand, I think that's more worth it, I would say. I am looking at potentially getting a Bull Knives Sham, so that'll be really fun to compare the Riot Zyro to, one of their official works. I've loved their designs, being very classy, very small. I think there's very, very good designs, very good clip. This one most likely staying. Next, we have a Knoll Knives Grace. This one's been Zerblasted, but this is just such a wicked blade, such a crazy compound Tanto, and also staying in the collection. I got a Knoll Knives Voodoo, another awesome knife that will be sticking around. This knife is one of my first, I think, titanium overseas knives. And this one, I think I just like it a little bit more than the Evo, which is why I'll be selling the Evo and keeping the Mini Tempest. That front flip is so nice, and I can reverse flick, which I'm a huge fan of that. And probably my favorite right now, my F22 kickstop. Just beautiful shape. I love the contouring. And that kickstop flipper is really cool. So that one is also sticking around. Knives that have also technically stuck around, but that I am planning on selling. This carved pocket knife, I've listed it. Other knives that I have listed, I know this is going to be really sad. My modded Knoll Raiden. But this one, I'm planning on getting a Raiden R2. So moving the Raiden, moving that carved knife. I am selling my Spyderco lockback. I think it's the Andella Warncliffe. All of these have been photographed and they're packed up. My Kaiser Sheepdog is also going. This Swiss Tech I'm probably going to use in a giveaway coming up here soon. And my Luft Concepts Avant is also on the chopping block. So these are knives. These last 5. Let me just make sure I'm not missing. So these 6 I'm also planning on selling here in the next month or so. These are the ones that have survived the first part of my purge, but I will be going after maybe not half, but trying to shrink down the collection even a little bit more. Next up, we're going to be doing the USA Made collection, which is pretty hefty. All right, part 2 of the knives that stayed. This is the USA and a couple non-USA knives, but the Benchmades, I have an Osborne, and then the Bug Out, and a Mini Crooked River. This trio has survived the cuts, and I think these are the only Axis locks that I will be using from now on. The only ones that I think that I like aesthetically enough to keep, even though I'm moving out of that. Moving out of Axis locks. We got a Dirac, and this knife, I got my dad a Dirac Delta, and this is the knife that he's truly been EDCing, the big version of this, and I kept the little one for myself. This is my only dual action OTF automatic. Definitely want to be getting one of the new Zero Blade Play microtechs, but really fun, really cool. All right, now we're going to be into the top 20 of my collection in terms of like that I like and use a lot. The last surviving tactile knife. This is an old Rockwall from Urban EDC Supply. Really like it. I'm kind of tempted on selling this one and getting the new flipper Rockwall, but not entirely sure. We got a Gen 1 McNeese Mac 2 3.5. Just another nice no frills knife. It doesn't have a lock bar insert, it doesn't have an over travel. Screws are threaded directly into the other scale. Very simple, but I think it's still really good. And I believe this one I just put on skiffs. Yeah, I did. And oh my goodness, that pivot is super loose. I must have not put thread locker on that. So that I should probably fix. Moving on, we got probably my favorite Spyderco, this Mannix 2, which I did a review not too long ago. If you want to check that out, more of my thoughts, but love this knife. Really awesome. Even though it looks like an axis lock, it's done in such a better way. That is right there. Next, we got a TRM Atom with the lizard skin scales, and this knife I actually carry quite a lot. This is kind of like an old classic, one that you come back to a lot. Really, really love that TRM. Next, I have my Hinder XM18 3.5. This one I've also started carrying more. It's grown on me. I thought I wouldn't like how chunky it is, but definitely very nice. Put that there. Next, my Unum's on. Still carry this a ton. Still love it. I think I'm going to try a different clip, maybe an RGT. I heard it scuffs the jeans up less. This one, I have put the 2 standoffs and removed the lanyard. And yeah, this is just such a nice knife. If you have to go down to one, this is a really strong contender. It's not as fidgety as some of the other options, but let's see if I can show you some of the snails this one's gotten over time. This was like my first serious knife purchase, and I've loved it for so long. I think coming up on 4 years now, maybe. Next up, we have the rarest knife in my collection, this Rex Sparrow. There's only 75 of these. I think it's 25 in Vanax and 50 in M390. So this is a pretty cool one. I really wanted one of these when I first saw them announced, but couldn't afford it. Mine has the hazy stonewash and then the satin flats. Really excellent knife. Very happy with that one. I don't carry it too much just given its rarity. Then I think here would slot in a Sonora. I'm just going to put a photo of it. Mine had some issues with lock stick, but they updated that with a new handle, so I'm hoping that those issues will go away. It'll be arriving in the new year, so I still wanted to include it because I think it's still a knife that has remained, even though it's undergone some changes. So that will leave a gap. That's the Sonora. Next, we have the Utzler Neutralizer. Really like this knife, but I'm considering selling it for a duck, unless I just add a duck. Who knows? He's been making ducks with a slot. If I did get a slotted flipper duck, I definitely would sell this, but if I got a thumb stud duck, they might be different enough that I'd want to keep. But really cool knife, and really like Cody's work. Now, this knife, you already saw it before. Not going to say much about it, but it goes here, rounding out spots 20 to 11. Now we are in my top 10. the Orca 2.0 from Arnaud Bernard with this beautiful, just techno carbo blue. Absolutely gorgeous. Way too far on the zoom. Let's get back in. There we go. Absolutely gorgeous knife. Adore it. Action is even better when I gave it a little cleaning. Really awesome stuff. We'll put that right there. Next is a trio that I think is probably my most carried in terms of like just grabbing it. And that's going to be this Mini Arius, the Rosie, and the Holt Morpheus. These three I carry a lot, I use a lot, and this is kind of where my core usage comes from. These three, these two, and then I guess these two get a fair amount of pocket time. It's kind of where my taste has settled. I like carrying this when it feels like a little bit more of a fancy occasion. And then this one, EDC, this one, EDC as well. I alternate between which I like more between these two. They're both just phenomenal knives. For right now, I have them like this. But if you ask me next week, it might be this. And if you ask me next week, it might be this. And they're all just kind of one. That's why I brought them out at the same time. They're all kind of just really nice. Next, I have a Shirogorov F95 DLT exclusive. Very nice. The F95 is a very nice pattern. The lock bar is just incredible. The action's really nice, but I'm probably going to sell this one. And I think I'm going to get a 0. I like the backspacer and the internal milling, and it's actually lighter than this one. So this one, I'll probably be subbing it out, but absolutely love. That's my first Shirogorov, and I'm definitely impressed. Next, we have probably one of the more unique knives, and that's the Hawk Talon. It's got a weird toggle detent and a kind of like an axis lock, but not. And it's got this clip. I actually have carried this a lot this year. Maybe not to the level of these, but I've also only had this for half of the year. Really nice, really sharp, awesome hollow grind. Yeah. Really cool knife from Hawk Knives. Another knife that I actually do carry a lot, again, just under that, is this Cortex XL. Beautiful ergonomics. I think ergonomically, this and the TRM, almost cut myself. This and the TRM, very neutral handles, and then you get that choke up spot. Love those. Love it when a knife gives you kind of this, just a very open line. Really love this knife. My only complaint is that the clip is a little thin. So if you ever grab it, sometimes you can pull it and get a little that sound, which is not my favorite. But adore this knife, and so nice in hand. Cuts really well, super thin. Probably my favorite pickup from this year. I think I just got it at the start of this year. Probably these two. Next, we got a big Arius. I carry this in the winters, and you'll actually see some wear on the edges of the ano. Really cool knife. Ergonomically, for my hand, it's a little more comfortable, but this one feels just fine. You see I have a lot of space and just enough space. This knife I carry in the winter when you have, bigger jeans, and when I'm in shorts throughout most of the year, this is the one I carry as well. Corda pattern on this, killer. This smooth one, also really nice. Love both of them. And as you can see, there's 2 of them in my top 10. Probably one of the best knives I think ever made visually. I love the FSD. And this one's really special because it's the last one Craig ever made, number 475. Last one with the button liner. This one has not been carried yet. It's still a safe queen. I have very few safe queens, but this one, the story behind it, I think has earned it its rest. And I think my favorite knife, this was a gift from my wife last year, also has not been carried, is this Rask. Absolutely beautiful. It's got like a crosshatch dragon, blue to purple fade. Just incredible. Love the work from the Grimsmo brothers. And I got two brown, two coning. I really like these knives, those knife companies. Very well done. Um, this is pretty much most of the USA collection. I'm going to kind of scoot a couple out of the way here and I guess talk about where I see this part going. And most of that is I might have to make a couple decisions on some knives to sell from here that I honestly wouldn't want to sell. Maybe the Sparrow, maybe the Neutralizer, this one, subbing it out. They're really nice knives, but you can't carry them all. Can't carry them all at one time. And sometimes it's nice to sell something, even though you experienced it for a little bit and you liked it, just to get something new, see what you like. There's a lot of really cool knives out there. There's a lot of great knives. And I think it's so easy to become a hoarder and just keep everything that you like all the time. Now, there's 4 more knives I wanted to cover, and these are super sentimental ones. So this is an Evo Typhoon, and this is another reason why I'm thinking of selling the one earlier. Is I have this one, which I bought for my graduation. I purchased it pretty much the few hours after commencement, and this is my only Damasteel and Timascus knife. And I will always remember my friends from college and what they mean to me with that piece. Next is 3 knives for my wedding. This one my best man bought for me, and I think this is the best Gerber ever made. The ergonomics are fantastic. The axis lock, surprisingly, is well done. The dead zone is much less than on Benchmade, so it gives it a very positive feeling. The lock was a tiny bit gritty, like right here, but just went like this a little bit, and it polished everything out, and it's been good to go. The Stormtrooper is really cool. It's got a cool texture, really awesome blade, but it's been retired because of the sentimental aspect behind it. Another retired blade. This is the knife I had in my suit when I got married, and it matches my other wedding ring, which my wife picked out. Has some not palm tree decals, but just kind of a very symmetrical pattern. And I picked this because it matched that, and it's also been Zerblasted, and this one is also retired. And another Safe Queen, a mini Crooked River that my wife picked out. So she picked the steel S90V, she picked all of the collars and spacer, and this is another cherished piece. So these 4 are Safe Queens, these 2 are Safe Queens. Outside of that, pretty much everything else I use to some degree. And now we're going to rapid fire Balisongs and fixed blades after this, but we're almost there. All right, on to fixed blades. We got this unnamed one that was given to me as a gift from a friend. I said in my last video it's some crummy steel, but I actually was able to put an edge on it this time. I think it just had a burnt edge. Again, I don't know what steel it is. It's probably some 8CR or something around that, but I don't think it's a pot steel. Heat treated, perhaps, but I keep it around. It's a fun fantasy shape, and it's got a cool sheath. Next up, one I'm probably going to be selling is this carved knife with a wood burl resin handle and a Damascus blade. I just wish they carried the full length of the spine out to here and made it a bayonet. It's so thin, it bugs me when you put pressure, like if you're going to go through a cut, it just leaves a mark. It's just too thin, too thin. Ergonomically, it's fantastic. I just wish the spine wasn't so thin. Next up, one of my favorite little guys of all time, the Chickadee. This one's an M4. Absolutely love this. I normally get super annoyed by 3-finger blades, but I carry this one like this. So I still feel like I'm getting my full hand on it. This one I kind of keep as my food fixed blade. So apples, little stuff. And I normally carry it in this, and I want to get a UT clip and maybe carry it through here like that on the back. So that'll be really fun. Uh, Fun project next year just to see how I like that. But love the little chickadee. I really want to get a Modest Mary from Jacob Creates. It's got to be one of my favorite fixed blade makers, and I love how you can just pop it out. Feels so like just ready to go. Next, we got my bushcrafter with a ferro rod. I'm not sure how this one is going to fare in the collection now that I have the LT5, as I feel like they fit a similar sort of survival knife type role. Maybe I'll keep one in the car. One is a backpacking knife. I'm not sure. Maybe this one will be a good car beater. But this one has served me well. I've started a couple fires, whittled, just dinked around, messed around. Next, I got this little Silver Fox Tools pocket axe. It's a fun toy. This is a toy, but it's a lot of fun. And then the LT5, which I showed you, another new one. And that's the fixed blades. Again, not really looking to add too many more. This one sort of, I was convinced, and I'm glad I was. And I want to get a Modest Mary and try to convert that into a boot knife. Maybe get a leather sheath for it. But these are my fixed blades. All right, Balisong time. We got the Squiddy Bee, and I pretty much just keep this for showing people the ropes where they can't hurt themselves in any capacity. Even some metal trainers, you can pinch yourself. So I start with this, they get comfortable, and then we'll work our way up from that to a metal trainer, etc. Next, we have my first Balisong, my Mako, or Mako. This one has the colors of the university I graduated from, so I keep it around, and it's pretty much retired. It's very slippery, doesn't have any jimping near the tail, which helps with tricks, and it's very slippery, but very cool knife. And I do really like that one. This is my public flipper. So basically, if I'm going anywhere where there's people who might not like knives and or I'm in an airport, I take this one. I think it's the easiest one to plead your case that it is just a toy. I'll show, for example, this is also a trainer, but I feel like it's a little harder. You just pretend you're a TSA officer. Whoa, what the heck? Why does that point to you? Oh, this is just a smiley face little guy. That I think is easier to plead your case that it is just a toy, a trainer. So this one pretty much just goes with me whenever I'm traveling somewhere and I'm going to a place that might not be Balisong friendly. It's very hard to flip under the camera, but I don't flip this one often, but when I do, it's on travels. Next up, and all of these have been from Squid, and we got another Squid. My first live blade was this Mithril Crackerakin, which was born of a messed up gunmetal. If I think I have the story correct, they have a normal person who does the color for their aluminum, the anodizing for the aluminum. They have a gunmetal. That person, I think, was busy, or maybe they increased their size and they couldn't do the full batch. So they reached out to another group and asked if they could replicate the gunmetal. They said they could. They didn't. It came out more blue, so they called it Mithril, and I think it was only one batch. And being a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I had to find one on the secondary, so pretty cool. I don't really flip this one too much, but I think it's nice to just sort of keep being the gold standard and all. And this is my only trainer, or at least what I want to be my only trainer, and that's this Madco with the bottle opener in titanium. Love it. It rings. I hope that picked up on the mic. Beautiful. And I keep it in my bag as a bottle opener. Next, we have this Jeff Dumas EX11. So this one is a trainer, but I don't want it to be. I've tried reaching out to Jeff a couple times, but I fear he may have, called it a career and he's done, which would be really sad. He's made some awesome stuff. So hopefully he's just taking a break and he'll be back soon. I want to get one of his milled blades. It just looks like a katana. I love that. If not, I may have to reach out to my modder and see if he can get this on a live blade. And it's very heavy. And I have these full length titanium spacers, so I'm hoping to maybe put it on standoffs to lower that weight a little bit. But I do really love this knife. And if not, I might sell it and just buy a live blade version. So, really cool knife. Shame about Jeff not being super responsive. So, hopefully, he's okay. I know he got injured, and I hope that that didn't do him in. He's made some awesome stuff. Next, we're on to the big two. My Machine Wise Seraph with a hand ground swedge, and I think this is the only one with a hand ground swedge, and that was because they made a mistake on this one. It was a little off-sided, had like a little snagged tooth where the bit didn't go all the way through, so I got a hand ground swedge. Beautiful 45 slant mill, just so impressive. Come on. Oh man, let's try it again. Beautiful 45 slant mill. Really awesome handle texture. Flips amazing. This one's really hard to flip because it's so long, but adore. Love that knife. And I think my grail, or my most sought after, is this Orca 1.5 with the Deco blade. Very impressive milling all around from JK or Julian. Really nice knife. And this is my, I guess, my favorite channel and my favorite chanwich. This one's a sandwich, but if I can't get it on a blade, I have a knife coming in. I hoped by the end of this year, but it ended up most likely going to be next year. And that'll be my sandwich knife. And what I truly flip, don't really flip this one. This one's retired. This one's on trips. This one I'll flip occasionally. This is my trainer, but I really just flip these two. And I'm hoping to flip a sandwich knife, a chanwich, and a channel. And that'll be sort of the core of my collection. Keep this one around, and this one's my sole trainer. And then these three mementos / traveling type knives. And then this one, I don't know. It's in limbo for now until I can figure out how to get a blade on this. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. We covered the knives I sold, the knives I bought, the knives that stayed the same, fixed blades and balisongs, pocket knives, everything. Thank you so much for making it to the end. It was a long one. So overall, the collection decreased in size, which I'm quite pleased with, and I'm hoping to continue that into next year, narrowing the focus down into stuff I like and not just keeping stuff as examples or stuff that means a lot to the community if it doesn't mean a lot to me, or if I don't like the knife a lot myself for whatever reason that might be. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing and taking a look at something else that I've done. And, as always, have a great rest of your day. Have a great new year and a great 2026. Thank you all so much.